Oh, hello, everybody out there in the universe that's watching us right now. Welcome again to the Stogie 411 show. And I am here joined like usual with my partner in crime, Mr. Michael Williams. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great, doing great. Just real quickly before we get going, it seems we're having a minor issue in the chat. Uh, those who are in, great. Hopefully, we'll get more people in there soon. I know Matt is working hard to resolve that issue, and so just hang in there. But anyways, so let's get this bad boy on the road. And if you don't know the gentleman, let's see, to my left, but he might be to your right, depending
Actually,
on
he's
what you're
below
looking
you.
at the monitor. This is Arby Sosa from.
He's
He's on the logo.
no,
Well,
he's
he's up
below
above
you.
me then, right? He's below me. All right, he's below me. Boo! All right, Arby Sosa, how you doing, Arby?
Good, good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking the time out to join us two schmucks.
Nah, it's my pleasure. It's an honor for me.
Well, we appreciate it very much. So basically, let's just kick it off like we always do, Arby. There may be some people out there who may not know of you or may have not enjoyed one of your fine brands. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kick into getting to know some of your brands.
All right. Well, quickly, I've my family's been in the business for 4 generations. We started out as tobacco growers in Cuba. Came over here during the revolution. My dad, my grandfather, they started a little factory here in Little Havana, sometime around 1964, and we were starting to do that. And then sometime in the 70s, we, my father and another person who was still in the industry, opened a cigar factory in the Dominican Republic. It wasn't the first factory in the Dominican Republic because Aurora was there, but it was the first factory ever that was going to start exporting cigars from the Dominican Republic. That was like in 76. And then we were there till about 26 years. And then in 1998, Fuentes decided that they wanted to open another factory because the boom was going on. And they asked my father. Well, my father asked them if they were interested in making cigars for us. And they said yes, on one condition: if my father would move to the DR, because they wanted to open a new factory and they wanted somebody to run it. So my father moved over there and they opened this new factory that was based on a totally different philosophy. During that time, because of the boom, a lot of the factories were taking rollers from other factories, or the rollers were bouncing for the better money. So Fuentes decided that they were going to start basically a school, a factory school. So you had to be 25 years old or less, and you couldn't have any cigar rolling experience because they wanted them to be taught and learn the way that Fuentes wanted them to learn how to roll cigars. So my dad started with that, and now pretty much factory 1, 3, and 4, I probably would say over 50% or even more of all those rollers that they have went through my dad's school. And now my father has about 350 workers in Fuente Factory number 4, and about 250 of them are rollers. So
Wow.
it's been a very, very good project for them, and that's the way they did it. And my dad that factory produces about 25 to 30,000 cigars a day, all premium handmades and no short filler. So it's a big task my father has, but he enjoys it. I don't think he considers it as a job. It's his vocation. It's his love.
That's what you need to make it. You have to have
Nice.
some love for the job you're doing.
Right, right. No, definitely, definitely. And obviously, we started some of those. We have some retail operations in downtown Disney World, and that was started right around the same. No, that was about 1995. But we have my first cousin who runs that operation down there, and it does well. So we have our manufacturing side that my father runs, and we have our retail side, which is our 2 stores in downtown Disney. And we have a small store in Little Havana, which has been there for about 16 years, which kind of runs itself, and my brother kind of tends to it. And it's a very small mom and pop shop, what you would consider a B&M shop.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been to the one like we were talking in the pre-show. I've been every year. My family, we go to Disney, and I go there every year. People are very polite. The ambiance is nice, and it's a really, really nice place. So
Thank you.
definitely,
We appreciate that. We try. We definitely try. It's for the consumer. It's for you guys.
yeah, absolutely, it was nice. Well, Arby, let's talk a little bit about your cigars, and we're gonna. I want to start off with my favorite of your line so far that I have tried is the 60 by Sosa. So Why don't you tell us a little bit about that cigar, and then we'll go into some of the other ones.
Definitely. Obviously, there's been a resurgence in the past 10 years on Central American cigars being made in Honduras and in Nicaragua. And so we decided that once we took over distribution again from Sosa, and we didn't really have any cigars that are being made there. So I spoke to some factories. I contacted some other companies that are making cigars in Honduras and Nicaragua, and I decided that I wanted to go again with a company that's family based. And so I went with the Reyes, that they make the Purosinos and the Cubaleados, and they're 6 blocks away from my office, and I know Carlos real well. So we decided to make the 60 by Sosa out of there. We wanted to make a Central American cigar with a Sumatra wrapper, because that's the staple of our cigars, is the Ecuador Sumatra. And real simple, I asked my wife, who's an attorney, we talked about, does trademarks, and I asked her, hey, does anybody have the cigar just called 60? I mean, I don't want to invent names. So she was like, no. So we just did 60 by Sosa, made it in 4 sizes, very self-explanatory. We did a 4 by 60, 5, 6, and 7 by 60. Retails between about $5 and $7.50, so it's very well priced, boxes of 20, and it's been very successful. It's been our newest brand. It's had the most success of any of our new brands, so I'm very excited about it. Like I said, it sells itself because it's explanatory. The box says it. It's 60. It's medium body, so it does have flavor, because 60 ring gauge cigars tend to lack flavor because you're smoking so much filler and binder. And I feel we have a good mix with 60 by Sosa, which, there you go.
Mike
Smoking right here.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yep. We had Manny Diarte, who's become real famous with making bands. He created that band. So I wanted to make it's a very old school looking box with a very decorative band, but still kept it simple. Because I didn't want to make everything too pricey, and then I have to make the cigar a little more expensive. So I kept it where it's at, and like I said, it's been very, very successful, and we're really happy with it.
All right, Mike was just showing that to the chat room. We didn't see it on Skype because Mike's utilizing another camera. But let's take a question, actually, before we get into some more. LOD has a question in the chat room for you, Arby. He says, can you describe the type of cigars that you make?
We make, first of all, we make medium-bodied cigars. We don't feel we make mild cigars, and we don't make what we consider now the new day the full-bodied cigar. And a lot of times I correlate full body with a cigar that has a lot of nicotine. And that's not really something that we do. All our cigars use aged tobacco. So when you age the tobacco, you lose a lot of that nicotine. It becomes a very full-flavored cigar, but very smooth. And that's something that we do. We just came out with a new ad for my Sosa Classic line of something like a classic Dominican cigars never change. And that's something that I wanted. I wanted to make a cigar that has a lot of flavor, that has some complexity, but doesn't scratch your tongue, doesn't bite you. That's not something that we make. In fact, my Sosa Super Selection, which my father makes, and the Sosa Classic line, that uses a 3- and 5-year-old wrapper. Fillers and binders are all 3 years old. Then the cigar ages for another 3 to 6 months. So yes, you get a ton of flavor, but you don't have that bite, which is something that we don't want. I mean, at the end of it all, you hear from all cigar rollers and manufacturers, you make cigars for yourself that you love, and then you hope a lot that the consumer will like it. And that's something that we do. So everything for us, we look at a lot of flavor, complexity. It doesn't say one-sided. We want it to change. We want it to evolve, but we want you to be able to smoke on a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. So that's our basic philosophy that we have.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah. Well, it's a good one to go into, because, I mean, if something never happens and people didn't like it, at least you know you like it and you have cigars to smoke. So
yeah.
You know.
Well, and then we're out of business and we got to go back to something. So we don't take it that much. But like I said, we do try to evolve with the industry. Sosa Classic last year came out with a 55 ring gauge. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about later. We're coming out with a new line, with a new ring gauge. And then I came out with 60 because, again, so I try to evolve. I try to look at what the consumer's doing. That's the good thing about having the retail stores, is the consumer's telling us, because we know what's selling. So We try to go with the times in that.
All right. Well, let's go into G-Man, we're going to get to your question in a minute. I just want to get a little bit more into Sosa's cigars, and then I think your question will fall right into place. So let's go into your the next line you wish to talk about, Arby.
The other newest line that we came out with is a brand called Underground, which is what I'm smoking right now. I don't know if you can see it very well, but Underground is a very, very limited item. We're making 3 sizes, 2 Perfecto sizes and a Robusto size. We're only making about 2,000 cigars a month. It's being made in Miami, so it's very limited. It's our fullest bodied cigar that we have. It uses a Habano Ecuador wrapper, and then the tips that we use an Ecuador Connecticut wrapper just as a decorative piece, something to make it different. Our boxes are very interesting because our boxes on top of it have kind of like 3 logos that we got a local tattoo artist to make them. And our logos are a skull and bones, a heart with some cigars through it. We have a hand with a gun, smoke coming out of it that says Sosa on it. So it's a very decorative box. It's black. It's kind of a box that you want to keep. So we felt that it fit with that, and that's part of what we try to do. We understood that there's a younger consumer out there looking to smoke a fuller-bodied cigar and something that's cool, that's a talking piece. So that's what we decided to do. But like I said, it's very limited, so we don't have many retailers out there. It's doing very well. I enjoy it a lot. I'm really proud of it. It's one of my babies. It's something that my father kind of let me go with it, stayed out of the way. You know, my dad's, for being 73 years old, he's a man of the times, but he wasn't going to understand tattoos.
No.
And the name Underground, and then our sizes are called Arcane, Delphic, and Dar. Just wasn't going to happen. But like I said, he let me run with it. He likes it, and it's been really, really successful. So I'm really, really happy with it.
Nice. I've had it, and like Matt in the chat room said, he said it's his favorite out of your line. It's a great stick. You got anything, Mike, you want to add?
With the Underground now, do you see... I've been hearing with the industry, a lot of people are going for those full-body powerhouse, just kick-your-ass type smokes. Do you see that coming back down again, where they're getting back into the regular, what I would call a regular full-body or medium-bodied cigar?
Right. I think, again, we had talked about it before. It's that 90%, 10%. 10% of the consumer is that consumer, like I said, it's very active in the blogosphere, likes that full-bodied cigar, tends to go a lot with cigars that are in. They try smoking them. But that 90% is that consumer that might not fall in the blogosphere, might not talk too much, just walks into the B&M shop, buys a cigar, and leaves. But that guy, that 90%, still smokes mild to medium-bodied cigars. We have a big private label program that we do, which is for our B&M shops, and more than 50% of the cigars that we sell is Connecticut wrapped. Right. So it's the bread and butter. If you look at it, big brands out there, most of the cigars are still mild to medium body, because it's very hard to smoke 5-6 cigars a day, or even 2 to 3 very full-bodied cigars. I mean, you have to have a full stomach. It's not easy. So I think that at the end of it all, there's always going to be a consumer for that, because once you get to that palate, it's hard to bring it down. But still, the mild to medium-bodied cigar is what sells, and it's what's gonna continue. It's gonna continue. I think maybe the phenomenon that might die down a bit is that 60 ring gauge. That's something that I think might just be a trend, because when I first started in 95, 94, Lonsdale's #1s were big. Pyramids was a huge seller in 97, 98. I mean, it was by far the big. You couldn't keep enough Pyramids. Nobody could. So things have now changed more to 55, 58, 60 ring gauges. There's some companies that are coming out with 64 and 66. I'm not sure how that's going to fit. It's not going to happen for me, but I think 60 is where I'm going to stay at. But like I said, that might be a trend. We made our Perfectos for Underground. They're 41 ring gauges because, like I said, there's some people who do enjoy. I enjoy more of a 44, 46 ring gauge. Like I said, #1. If my business was based on Lonsdale's, I'm out of business. but that's what I enjoy. But like I said, you have to go with the consumer. You have to go with what they like. So we'll see what's going to happen with that 60 range phenomenon right now. I mean, right now it's the stable. It's what's keeping the industry alive and thriving. So
Right.
you can't,
And
you can't deny that.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say Mike and I are big fans of the 60 ring gauge. So, it's sticking around is going to make us happy going away. But I personally think that 56 is going to be the new fad. I think that's going to be the one to kind of push that 60 away, and it's going to be the new one. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, we came out with, like I said, the Sosa Classic line. My dad came out with a 5.5 by 55 ring gauge last year, and it's had success, and I enjoy it. But you know what, though? Most of the cigar, again, the IPCPR, the cigar convention, by what I understand, a lot of companies are coming out with cigars with larger than 60 ring gauge cigars.
Sure.
EPC's coming out with Inch, which is a 64 ring gauge cigar. You hear other ring gauges of 66, 68. So I don't think it's going to end. I'm not sure if somebody can smoke that every day. I don't know. We're going to see what's going to happen. But I think it is going to stay. I'm more of the believer of that it's not just a fad. I think it's going to stay because I think people like it. It's, you can smoke. You can take your time with it.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to smoke very even, which is a nice thing. Thinner ring gauges tend to smoke a little more uneven. They can canoe on you because the ligero sometimes won't end up in the middle. It'll be closer to a wrapper, so it burns bad. A 60 ring gauge is an easier cigar to make for the roller, so you can make that ligero be more in the middle, so it can burn nicer. So I think that's one of the compliments and one of the good things about the 60 ring gauge.
I like them. I mean, the smoking time, like I always tell everybody, if I could have a cigar I could sit down and enjoy for 3-4 hours, I would be in heaven, rather than going through 3 or 4 different cigars in that period of time. And it's somewhat about cost also. You buy 160 rather than 3 of the 50s, like the Robusto size or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
of course.
And like you said, I'm curious what's going to happen in the future because there are those that are bringing out there. Somebody said today, I think it was on Abe over at Kiss My Ass Radio. He said today the one company is bringing out like a 8.5 by 60 cigar. Kind of like there's some out there now that are like 7 and 8 long, and it's like, man, these cigars are getting so big. You're going to need like a little holder at the end to try to prop them up for you as you're trying to smoke them.
No, exactly. So we have a 7 by 60. We're gonna, I think, leave it there because at the end of it all, I have, like I stated before, I have to make a cigar that I can smoke, that I can also enjoy.
Right.
If I make a cigar, an 8 by 62, that I'm never gonna smoke. So I'm not even sure how it tastes. So you guys are gonna ask me, hey, how does it smoke? And I'm gonna say,
right.
I don't know. You tell me. You smoke.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, and I can't do that. That's not something that I'm gonna create.
Right.
I think we're going to leave it at there. And maybe we'll do some new wrappers in the long run. Maybe we'll do an Habano Ecuador. Maybe we'll do a Connecticut for the 60 by Sosa.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe we'll do a tapered end. We'll see what's going to occur. The brand is still new. It's only a year old. It's still fresh. So I still want to evolve with what I have, the 4 sizes with the Sumatra wrapper. And then maybe a year from now, I'll evaluate and see what I can move forward with it. We tend to... This company, we try to stay, we don't try to make so many new brands and brand extensions every year because I think it gets to a point that consumer gets lost because you just can't keep up with everything that everybody's doing. So I want to have that people know our cigars well, they back them, they follow them, and then I can go from there. It's easy for me to add something the consumer is asking me for it. I don't want to do everything all at once. And then that's it. I don't have anything really new to come out with or different. I just don't want to come out with a new cigar with a different wrapper and something else.
Right.
Here, you go and sell it. That's
Right.
not what I try to do. So we
Right.
really, really look at everything that we do, and we take it on a very slow basis.
Now,
Well, let's take a question.
Well, no, I was going to touch
go
on
ahead,
something
Mike.
that
Go ahead, Mike.
Arby spoke about. I was going to ask about it anyway. I have a printout here about your private label. Now, it's on their website. If you go to, I think you can still go to sosacigars.com and it'll transfer you right over to AntillianCigars.com. But Yeah.
It does. It does.
They have you have a private label that you do. Now, with this, individuals can order these, correct? You can order these, say,
I'm sorry?
individuals can order these for, say, like a wedding, or shops can order them in big quantities.
Yes, yes. We try. We shy away if consumers call us here directly, and if they're looking for our premium brands, all our name brands, we shy away. We try to find a retail store that carries them. We try to connect the retailer with the consumer. That's the most we really are hard at that. I don't have any. In fact, I don't have any retail websites for my stores because I don't want to compete with my own B&M shops. The only thing that we do is when a consumer calls us for our private label, our bundle business, when they want to do weddings and special events, we do help them with that because that's such a personal thing. So that we stay with, and that doesn't compete. That doesn't have any of our brand names on them. And I have customers here that are older than us that still call here and they order their bundles. They order their private label cigars. They've been ordering for 40 years, literally 40 years. So we have them, that this business, it is now, and it's always been grassroots. So that guy who's been calling, who's about 80 years old now, I'm not going to tell him, well, sorry, I can't sell you those 3 bundles of number ones so we do it for them. And, they love us. They're actually our toughest customers, believe it or not. The cigars are good. They're going to call us. It's funny. It's amazing. They're getting a $2 cigar, but yet they're very critical of that $2 cigar because they remember buying cigars for half of that or even less. So they're tough. They're tough cookies. So but we enjoy them. We definitely, what can you do?
Yeah, you gotta take care of the customer. Well, let's see. Let's get to G-Man's question, Arby. He had a question. What's your best-selling cigar?
Our Sosa Classic line, and within our Sosa Classic line, still our Pyramid number 2. Our Pyramid number 2 in 1998, when Cigar Aficionado, I felt had strength, especially with the consumer. It got a 93 rating. At that point, it was I think if it wasn't the first, it was the first or the second non-Cuban cigar ever to get a 93 rating. So that was a big thing for us. That catapulted our brand into mainstream. And still to this day, it's probably, I would say, 50% of everything we sell out of the Sosa Classic line is still the Pyramid, whether it's in the natural or the Maduro. So definitely that's still our bread and butter. Then secondly, our Wavel, which is the Robusto size, the 5x50. That also got, like in 2007 or 2008, it made the top 25 cigar of the year in Cigar Aficionado, and I think it's been like the least expensive cigar ever to come out of there. It's a cigar that sells for less than $5 or about $5. So that also really helped us out because they saw that we're a value-based brand. Not only do we make great cigars, but they're priced well. Our Sosa Pyramid right now, MSRP is still only $8. So for a Pyramid, it's still well priced. So even with the taxes and all that, with those states, it might sell for $9 or $9.50. You're still having a great cigar made by, a person that I respect a lot, obviously my father, a master blender, and coming out of what I consider, again, the best factories that there are in the world, which is Fuentes. For a cigar at that price, I feel you can't beat it. So that's definitely the Sosa Pyramids and the Sosa Wavels are our 2 sizes that we do the best in.
There you go, G-Man. There's your answer, buddy. And Leo in the chat room says the Sosa Naturals are outstanding. Just saying. So.
Good. That's the Sosa Family Selection line. That's another cigar that we make out of the Reyes factory. It's at the Old English S-Band that has in a Connecticut and a Maduro. That's a smaller line that we have. We haven't really pushed it because we're doing the 2 brands that we've pushed more is Underground and 60. But that's something that we have. It's actually interesting. In my retail shops, that Sosa Family Selection, the Connecticut series, it's actually probably the best seller. So you were inquiring about the Connecticut wrap cigars, the mild cigars. That just shows you. I mean, we have about 400 sales a day out of the Disney shops, and the Sosa Family Selection, the Connecticut blend, is the #1 seller. So that's, at the end of it all, I don't know if it's because it's novice smokers that they just want to smoke something there that day. So we move them to that because we know it's going to be milder, or that's just, what they look at. I mean, whether you're a smoker or a non-smoker, everybody knows that brand Macanudo, right? However they say it, it is what it is.
Right.
So that's something that happens.
Cool. All right. Let's get. Oh, go ahead.
Well,
No, I was going to go on.
no,
to,
go ahead. Go ahead.
The I'm going to screw up the name. Maccabi. Yeah.
That's all right. I do it all the time.
I don't know how to pronounce that name. Is that right? Is it Maccabi? I think he's having trouble hearing Maccabi.
Oh, Maccabi.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Maccabi. Yeah, a lot of people call it Maccabee too.
Tell us a little bit about those.
Maccabi's a brand that right now I don't really have it in distribution. Again, because I wanted to focus on certain brands. But Maccabi, sometime in the mid to late 90s, like I said, there was a transition between my dad's old partner and Fuentes. It was about a year or two that we were kind of struggling with getting cigars because of the boom, and we really didn't have a factory that we were well connected to in the Dominican. So there was a small factory in Hialeah, which is now called Flor de Gonzalez, and they started to make cigars. They came to my father, and we came out with a brand called Maccabi. It's called the Pride of Miami because it was first being made in Miami, and it had a great run. At one point, it was probably our #1 seller during those years. And I had at one point many retail shops in South Florida, and the shops were called Maccabi. So the brand helped out the store, and the store helped out the brand by selling it well as a namesake. And it was a Connecticut wrapped cigar. It was Connecticut, and also had a Connecticut broadleaf. It was being made in Miami, and it was a good cigar. We still have it in our retail shops, and we have some retail shops that still carry it because they still want to, and they've been having it for so many years. But it's one of those bullets that we have in our holster that we're waiting to someday bring it out, because it does have a lot of people know it. A lot of people still ask for it, and maybe one day we'll bring it back out again. We just we have it, like I said, we have it right now resting away, and maybe one of these years we'll bring it back out, because for me it's an important name, because like I said, it had a lot of my retail stores. It was a transitional period for me that it carried our company, and it did very well. And it, at the same time, it helped build Flor de Gonzalez into what they are right now, which they have that factory. They have a factory in, I think, in the Dominican Republic, and it's a good thing. So it was actually quite interesting, though, because it was a white and gold band. Now it's a white and red band, and it changed because we had a certain company that will stay nameless. We're going to sue me because I had a white and gold band. Obviously, I wasn't going to get into a legal war with them, so I just decided to change the band.
Wonder who that could be.
Yeah, exactly. And let's just say they're not based out of the United States.
Yeah.
So it was, like I said, but it was a very, very nice brand, and we're going to have it, and someday we'll bring it back out again, and and we'll see if maybe even we make it here in Miami again with the Connecticut. It's going to be called again the Pride of Miami, which is something that we had.
You are still rolling these though for your stores and for just select stores that still order them though.
Yeah.
Cool. So there you go. If you want to try them, you can.
Right. We have it for. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, if you visit any of our retail shops, you can find it there. Like I said, it's a mild cigar. It's Connecticut, but it's very well flavored. Has a nice balance to it. I still smoke it. Probably it's my everyday cigar a lot of times when I'm in the office, because it's not strong. Even though I don't smoke much in the office anymore, because my office is more of a nursery for my 9-month-old who comes to work for us. So when she leaves, maybe I'll spark up a cigar if I have a chance.
She comes to work to keep you in line, right? Is that what her job is right now?
Yes. No. Yes. Yeah, she does. Yes.
That's the wife.
Breaks.
The wife.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. And my job, my lunch break is feeding my baby and things of that nature. She sleeps in my office, so we have to be very quiet because she's a light sleeper. It's interesting.
I don't want to say no, but he keeps looking up. Is the wife behind the other side of the camera with cue cards?
No. My wife is to the side.
All right, just check it.
Yeah. Actually, what I have in front of me is I have the Baseball Network channel.
Okay.
My other passion is baseball. Actually, quite interesting. Down here in Miami, I'm almost more known for baseball than cigars because I coached for
Wow.
20 years, high school and college baseball.
Nice.
So that's my other passion. I really, really love baseball. So I
Nice.
have a DirecTV in my office, and I put the rundown on and
Now,
I
do you
watch
still
it.
coach?
There you go. Listen, LOD's got a. Oh,
No,
go ahead,
coach.
Mike.
No more. I would say a year and a half ago was my last year. Once I got married and I started to have kids and I got back Sosa, just my time was just limited, and that's more of a passion. You definitely aren't going to get rich coaching by any stretch of the imagination. I always say you get paid about 10 cents an hour when you look at the amount of time you put into it. So you have to love it. You have to do it for other reasons besides the money. So I really liked it, but it had its run. Maybe someday, maybe now I can get to coach my daughters.
That's what I was
softball,
going to say. Yeah.
So we'll see. I enjoy that.
Let's see. LOD's got a question for you, Arby. He says, are your cigars in the D.C. area? And if so, where? I added the second part.
I believe so. I'm going to be honest with you. Our website, we try to keep it up to date. So if you go to sosacigars.com or Antilliancigars.com, you should be able to find it if it's in the area. If it's not in the area, and if it's not in your local retail shop, yell, complain, bitch at them, tell them you want the cigar in the store, and we'll gladly supply them. We'll do our job. So complain, bang on doors, and try to get it in there.
Now, on that note, will your stores?
Right.
You said you have shop in down there in Florida. Will they ship to people?
Right. We do. Again, we try to stay away from it because it's such a fine line between having your own B&M shops and still trying to have distribution for other stores. But, if they do call our retail shops, obviously they sell to them. Because at the end of it all, my job is for the consumer to smoke my cigar. I try my best to get B&M shops to carry our product. We have great price points. We have great specials for them always. But I'm never going to negate a consumer that wants my cigar not to smoke them because they can't find them. So that will never happen. If somebody wants my cigars, they're going to get my cigars, whether they go to the local shop or one of our retail shops supplies them. I'd rather have the local B&M shop in their area sell it to them. But like I said, I'm not going to negate my consumer. If he wants it, he's going to smoke it.
There you go. All right. Well, Arby, did we? I don't believe we did. We didn't touch on the press release, right?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Why don't we go ahead and touch on that? Tell everybody about the new exciting news coming out, and we'll go from there.
Yep. Well, what we're going to come out with this year at the Cigar Convention in Orlando is we're not going to come out with an entirely new brand or in total a new brand extension. What we're doing is we're adding a new size to the Sosa Classic Series, which is made, again, it's made by my father, Juan Sosa, at Fuente Factory number 4. And the interesting part about it is that it's a 6x60. Let me put it up. There it is. It's a 6x60 ring gauge with an Ecuador Sumatra wrapper, Central American tobacco cigars. And the interesting part is that if it's not the first, it's definitely one of the first 60 ring gauge cigars to come out of Fuente Factory. I think it's the first one that's that's round, 6x60. Because I think there's a VSG size that's like a 64, but it's more of a perfecto, so it's only on one side. This is probably the first cigar that's entirely 60 ring gauge through and through that we're going to be coming out with. So I'm very, very excited about that. I think it's going to continue to get brand strength for the brand, for those 60, ring gauge smokers. Because right now, we don't have that in the Sosa Classic line. So if you really enjoy that cigar, you might not end up with Sosa Classic. But now there's no excuse because we put out a 6x60, which is obviously 6 inches. We feel that if you enjoy smoking 4-inch 60s or 7-inch 60s, it still fits within the range. So we're very, very excited about it. I smoked one already, and I loved it. It was medium-bodied, full of flavor, a lot of smoke. So if you enjoy smoke, draw is easy. Not a loose draw, but definitely not a tight draw. A very nice draw. And I was smoking it with my father last week, and I was like, Dad, it's perfect. It's medium bodied. It's not kicking my ass. Until I stood up. Once I stood up, I realized, and I turned on my dad. I said, Dad, this is kicking my ass right now. And I like that. I like to know that because, again, that full-bodied smoker right now, he's there, he's prevalent, he's important, and we need to have something for them, you know? So, exactly. I imagine that most of your fans are medium to full-bodied smokers because, again,
except for Mikey.
There you go. But, I mean, he's smoking the 60, so it's definitely medium body.
He'll probably be on the floor later.
No,
it's just
I just don't like the big nicotine kicks that you get with some of the cigars. I just don't like that nicotine at all coming in.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like I said, I'm fourth generation. So I've been in this a long time. You know, I used to play hide and go seek in tobacco bales when I was 5 years old. So I've been in this my entire life. I might say something right now. It's a little controversial, but you know, I really don't care.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, cigars and nicotine to me don't match. Nicotine's for cigarettes. I feel nicotine, a lot of nicotine should not be in cigars. I feel cigars should be almost nicotine free, definitely tar free, because it's an aged process. I feel that if you have a lot of nicotine cigars, I feel you're using young tobacco, because the only way I can correlate heavy nicotine and cigars is because there's a lot of young tobacco. And I don't think young tobacco fits in premium fine cigars. Like I said, there's a lot of people right now that don't like it. Too bad. That's just the way I feel. Yeah. Like my dad told me one day, he goes to me, Arby, if you want me to make you a cigar that's full-bodied and full of nicotine, I don't do it for you. Because Fuentes and Sosa, they don't have that. All their wrappers are aged, and their fillers and binders are aged. I mean, right now those guys have over 250,000 bales of tobacco being aged, even after the fire and all that's happened. Yeah. So that's just the way it is, and that's the way I make cigars. I can't make you a cigar that's full of nicotine, because that's just not me. So again, that's my opinion. Right now, many of the great cigar brands that are out there don't have that philosophy, so I don't hold them against them. They're strong right now. Heck, they're selling more cigars than I am, so obviously they're doing something right. It just doesn't fit my profile and my family's profile. So we're going to stick with what we do, because what you said about Michael, that you said, will 60 ring gauge, will there be a fad, or will be coming back? I feel very strongly that cigars, no matter what, at the end of it all, are going to go back to that. Fine cigars that have tons of flavor, that has some kind of kick, but don't kick you in the ass. You know, don't make you have to drink a gallon of water after it's done. That's just, again, that's me. You can argue the point by saying, well, many of those cigars right now are very successful, and I'm going to tell you, you're right. You're right. It's just not our philosophy. It's not the way we're gonna do it. It's not the way we can even make cigars. It's not what I look for when we make cigars. So that's pretty much.
Do you think part of that could be the fact, like you said, some of those companies are selling so many cigars that they just can't hold enough tobacco to age long enough to get the cigars out to the consumers to continually sell? I mean, some of the cigar companies have so many different names and brands, and you know, it's an enormous amount. Do you think that could be part of the problem? There's just not enough tobacco for them to age that long?
I think there's two premises on that. Number one, yes, that's not, you know, there seems to always be a shortage of fine tobacco. You know, people, let's face it, people do need to make money making cigars.
Sure.
So it's very hard for you to spend $1 million in tobacco bales and now sit on them for 2, 3, 4 years. Not everybody has that ability. I couldn't make my own cigar factory, buy $500,000 worth of tobacco and say, hey, Dad, we're going to put it away. So now find another $500,000 to make cigars with. That isn't going to happen. So that's one very big premise. Number two is, I mean, how many wrappers are there in the world? There is limited amount of tobacco that's being made all over the world. So how many blends can you create? That you were saying that some of these cigar companies are making a heavy amount of blends for a heavy amount of diverse amount of companies and brands. You know, it's selling. So again, I'm not going to, you know, what can I say? But, you know, we feel that there's only about maybe 4 to 6 very, very good blends that you can make. And that's what we look to do, because there's only a finite amount of wrappers that are out there. I mean, how many countries grow wrapper? You know, you have Connecticut, which is obviously the United States. You know, you have Nicaragua, you have Honduras, you have Ecuador, you have Mexico. I mean, and then you have Indonesia, which we don't really buy much from there, and the country of Cameroon, unfortunately, it's very hard to get wrapper from there. So you're very limited with the amount of blends you can really, really use. So I think that's it, and I just think it's a very expensive proposition to just get tobacco bales and sit on them. You know, that takes a lot of money. So that's what I think happens. You know, like I said, I feel very privileged to be with Fuentes and to be with Puros Indios, because if you go to Honduras too, you know, Rolando Reyes, who just passed away 2 months ago, he was the same way. I mean, that man said, I don't make cigars to be rich. I just make cigars because I love them. I mean, he just stored bales and bales and bales of tobacco. And I really like that. And that's something that I was really looking for, that when I was going to have a partnership with somebody else in Central America, was, did they have inventory? Did they have aged tobacco that when I make my cigar, it wasn't going to have that effect? Because I can't smoke a cigar that's full of nicotine. I don't want to be next day still tasting the cigar when I wake up. It's just not me. It's not what I'm looking for.
Right.
You know, I'll get off my soapbox now.
That's all right. Hey, actually, Leo had a question, and we can answer it. He wanted to know what the cigar was called again. It was the Sosa Classic cigar. It's going to be in the line. It's 6x60. He wants to know, when's it going to be in the B&Ms?
We're looking for it to be in the B&Ms sometime in late August.
Okay.
Late August, early September. It's going to be in the B&Ms in 21-count boxes. That's when we're looking to put it.
Okay, there you go, Leo. So there's your answer, buddy.
I have to say, I enjoyed that 60.
All right, well,
I enjoyed that. That was a good smoking cigar.
yeah, it is. It's my favorite out of the line. I like the 4x60. Something about that little, but the fat and stubby. I don't know. Something about it.
Yeah,
That just
I'm not
came
gonna
out
even
wrong.
go for it. Yeah.
That just came out wrong. Wait a minute. Let me
Yeah.
scratch that and reverse it. Well, Leo, Arby, let me ask you this question. If and when, we like asking people this question, when and if the Cuban embargo lifts, what effect do you think it'll have? And would you consider trying anything in your cigars now, retweaking some blends or making a new cigar with some Cuban tobacco or wrappers, whatever?
Absolutely. I mean, no doubt about it. I think you're dumb as a cigar company manufacturer if you don't, once the embargo ends, if you don't include Cuban tobacco into your blends. I mean, if you really, really stop and look at it, how many countries can truly say that they can make a puro? That means, making a cigar with only tobacco from that one country, and it still tastes amazing. I mean, outside of Fuente Opus X, really Cuban cigars is really the only country that can say they can use tobacco from just Cuba and still make a tremendous cigar. Maybe, in many people's opinion, the best cigar. So I think you'd be foolish if you have the ability to use Cuban tobacco to not retweak your blends. But again, I think that's going to be, I think if tomorrow the regime ends and you can use Cuban tobacco, I think that's going to be a long process because the fields there are not properly maintained. It's going to take a process just in the sense of logistics to be able to get enough Cuban tobacco back into the countries, to make cigars. It's going to take a while. I don't think it's going to be as easy as today the regime is over, within 90 days you're already making cigars and, using Cuban tobacco. I think it's going to be a process. But I think it's going to energize the industry, number one. I think it's going to be kind of the way it was again in the 90s with another boom because everybody's going to want to try cigars that are using Cuban tobacco. So I think it's going to be a win-win situation for all of us. And I just think it's going to make a better cigar. I mean, now you have maybe the best country that grows tobacco inside your cigar. I mean, how can it hurt it? It just can't. It can't hurt it at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Leo's got it right. The price is going to triple because of supply and demand. So
yeah, I think that's going to be the downside. But I think, like I said, with some of the reputable manufacturers that there are here, I think they'll take that into account. I think they'll be responsible when it comes to that. I just think Cuban tobacco is going to be very expensive because it's going to be scarce.
Yeah.
Like I said, our factory, I mean, our our tobacco plantation that we had in Cuba was called Santa Julia. That was the name of our farm. And by what I understand to this day, it's just right now weeds. Nothing has been grown in there for probably 45, 50, 60 years. So imagine you have to get that cultivated, take everything out, cultivate, prepare the land again, and then you can start growing tobacco. It's going to be another year, and then you got to age that tobacco. So it's going to be a process. I don't think this is going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits, remember, with names, who owns what name. Like, for example, my dad's land, we still have the deeds. We didn't sell that to the government, or to anybody else. So obviously you have people living there. So what's going to happen with those people that have been living there for 50 years, but yet we have the deeds? I mean, this is going to be confusing. It's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be as easy as what people think, that it's just the regime's going to drop, everything's going to end, and there we go. We have Cuban cigars now. I don't think that's going to be as easy.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Like I said, that's just my opinion.
Well, and like I keep saying, whenever we ask that question too, my concern is, all right, right now Cuba's putting out pretty much as many cigars as they can, I believe. And if you open up the United States, which is the biggest cigar market in the world, how Cuba is not going to be able to supply everybody in the world with enough cigars. So they're not going to have any extra tobacco to sell to anybody else. And like you said, like the land that your family still owns, hopefully, who knows what's going to happen. That could be a crazy situation, like you said, until you get that land reworked. I mean, you're looking years down the road till you could even grow any tobacco to be used or have it aged to be used.
No, I agree. I fully agree. But I will tell you this. I do think that if you can get, again, and I'll go back to what I know, a factory like Fuentes, I think if they can once they get Cuban tobacco into their inventory and they can now start making cigars with Cuban tobacco, I think you're going to get the best cigars we've ever smoked. I mean, I think they're just going to be phenomenal cigars. Especially guys that like the full-bodied cigars. You guys are going to be in heaven. This is going to be the utopia for cigar full-bodied smokers, because you're just going to get the best of the best making great, great, great cigars. So I think there is going to be that boom again. And, you might get cigars, especially cigars that are hard to find, they might just double and triple in retail price because of the demand for that. Right. So I think it's going to be interesting times, but I think it's going to be scary times because you don't know which way things are going to go.
And it's not going to happen overnight. Like you said, there's going to be, once it's lifted, there's going to be a whole bunch of other diplomacies and things that need to be worked out before anything like that happens.
And the cigars will sell out. The people who have the cigars right now in their warehouse or whatever, they're going to sell out so quick, and they're not going to be able to replenish their supply, for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Supply demand.
And the counterfeit situation is going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to know what's real, what's fake. I mean, come here to Miami, Little Havana, come on. It's going to be it's going to be out of control. It's going to be very, very hard to get this organized. So I think you might get that initial boom, and then because maybe the counterfeits, people are going to start laying off the Cuban cigars and wait till things get a little better organized. I think that's what's going to happen. Right. When you're selling a box of Cuban cigars for $100 and you haven't figured out that it's counterfeits, I mean, you're a moron, in my opinion. But that's besides the point. I mean, you go to the Bahamas and you see the cigars, like the Partagas Series D No. 4. It's like a $45 cigar. Multiply that. You're talking about a $500 box, but yet, here in Little Havana, you get it for $100. You got to figure things out a bit.
It's just a sale. That's all.
I got some land.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Cigar.
Go ahead, Arby.
No, I'm saying it's a Cuban cigar. It was made by some Cuban in Hialeah.
Yeah.
It's a Cuban cigar.
Is there anything we didn't touch on that you want to touch on before we end the show here, because we're at our hour, and ask you the final chat room question that we always ask?
No, I just I thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. I hope your fans get to they haven't tried Sosa, they try it. We're a company that we don't feel we're perfect by any extent of the notion. You know, we're always we like to be critiqued sometimes because we know that we know there's always a problem. So we're always looking to improve ourselves. We by no means do we think we're perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We're always looking out there to make a better and a finer cigar for the consumer. So we're always looking to evolve. So we take the opinions of guys like you and your fans very serious. It's not something that we throw to the corner and say, they don't know what they're talking about. Because I get this question all the time. What do you consider a good cigar? And they think I'm going to get into this huge diatribe, right, about blends and tobacco. And I tell them it's very simple. Did you like the fucking cigar or not? Yeah, you did. Great cigar. You didn't like the cigar? Bad cigar. It's pretty simple, you know? It's pretty simple. I remember when I was a kid, I was drinking wine coolers, you know? Come on. You know, we all give me a break. You know
You
what
were
I'm saying?
drinking Zima.
I still like Zima over fine wine right now. You know, I'll drink a Zima over a bottle of great Spanish wine. I'm a moron because I think that way, but I just haven't found the palate for it, you know?
Yeah.
So cigars are the same way. If you love the cigar, it's a great cigar. If you don't like the cigar, it's not meant for you.
Exactly.
It's meant for you. So, you know, I always get that question every time I travel and I laugh.
Yeah. Well, Mikey, go ahead and wrap it
All
up
right,
and give him
now-
the question.
Yeah, this
The
is
chat room
our
question.
chat room wanted us to ask all the guests this question. We want your deathbed cigar. If you are on your deathbed and you have a chance to smoke one more cigar until you just kick the bucket, what would that cigar be?
Very simple. I'm going to first show you this can, which is a can of Coke and a Sosa Super Selection #2. You give me those two things, and I'll go to bed forever very, very happily.
Wow, look
Look
at
at
that.
that.
He knew right away.
Alrighty.
Nice. All right. Well, Arby, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us and our fans in the chat room and answering the questions. And everybody, if you get a chance, definitely go out and try Sosa line. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. And if you're in Disney, definitely stop by there because they're very, very kind and very knowledgeable people. I've been there myself every year. And I wish you nothing but the best, Arby, and you're welcome back anytime you would like to come back on.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
Thank you
Peace.
much.
We'll see you soon.
Alrighty. Well, I am here alone now. Oh, and I'm going to do the I was going to do this a little earlier and I forgot. This is for you, John. Look at that. Look at that. See what I'm smoking, John? Oh, man, yes. From if you were there at our last show, you know what I'm talking. Mike knows what I'm talking about. I brought him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're
I'm
back
back.
with us here, buddy.
All right, cool. Well, I want to thank everybody who took the time out. Chat room was a little light today, but, you know, life goes on. People must have been busy. But thanks to everybody for joining us in the chat room. We really appreciate it, as always. I can't say thank you enough. It was nice to see you there. Thanks for the questions. I hope you enjoyed the show. And the next show, if I can get my calendar up here, the next show is going to be July 14th at the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will have Wes on from Monte Pascal. So make sure you join us there. And also, don't forget that contest is still running over there for the Crown Heads for the Headley Grange hat. Get a picture of the Headley Grange and the Stogie 411 logo in front of a restaurant, and you'll win. So we're going to end that by the next show. If I don't even think anybody's put in yet. So email us at stogie411@stogie411.com, and first one who gets it in is going to win. Simple as that. So thanks again. That's all I got, Mikey. You got anything you want to add before we get the hell out of here?
Again, and can't wait for the next one. And hopefully, we won't have any more problems. You know, we had a couple problems with the chat room today, getting people in and stuff. I believe. I know I had trouble getting in too, but Matt fixed all those behind the scenes. Good job, Matt. And
Yep.
That's it. We're going for the next show.
All right. We'll see y'all soon. Thank you. Out.